TikTok legend.
Somebody want to tell President Jackson when TikTok?
Okay. You have jokes now. I know I'm a elder, a senior statesman.
He said that's what we doing now.
Say it, say it, say it, say it, say something.
You gonna charge him, give him life, give everybody life.
To make sure that we have adequate.
We're all gonna wear them.
Let's just flow with it. Yep, we're just gonna jump right in. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the NAACP Say Something show. My name is Kareem Scales. With us, I have my amazing co-host here.
Going on, Onesimus Pee-wee. Go ahead, judge yourself up as well.
And I am Cle Jackson, the president of the Greater Grand Rapids branch of the NAACP.
Thank you as well, and we are honored to have with us as well. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Joel Hondorp, Grand Rapids City Clerk.
Great. So yeah, why we here today? That's what's going on.
So today we have Joel here, you know what I'm saying, and obviously the renowned, President Cle Jackson, to talk about, just basically in our city within Grand Rapids, what's going on within, voting rights.
Exactly. Just have a voter conversation, getting prepared for the upcoming midterm election. We know everyone's getting fired up, so we want to make sure that the proper information is out, the whole nine, get people fired up for this very important midterm.
Yep, people, all types of people, you know what I'm saying. We're going to talk about young people as well, you know what I'm saying, what needs to happen with them, and just really getting into it.
For sure. Well, let's just jump right in. I know we have a few different questions that we'll jump into, but first, how's everyone feeling? Coming off of the 2020 election, had some record turnouts. Prez, what are your thoughts about kind of stepping into this midterm?
It is. It's crucial. It really is crucial. A lot is at stake, not only here, I think, in the city of Grand Rapids, but when you look at statewide, it is, and well as nationally. And so I just want people to get out and vote, and exercise their democratic right, and make sure we continue to rock the vote. We just cannot get excited in the presidential year, right? We have to get excited in any election because I tell folks all the time that local elections really impact your everyday quality of life, living standards, the streets, the roads, the lights, the garbage, the trash, all of these other issues, environmental issues on the local level, right? And so we really, really, really have to encourage people not only to register and to get out to vote, but also educate them on the reason why. So why are we doing this? Why is this important? And make it real and relevant to them. That's what we really have to do. And then this is the other thing, too. We just cannot show up during election time.
Right.
It has to be, a mentor of mine told me a long time ago, repetition is the mother of all skill, right?
Yeah.
So we can't just show up during election times and appear like we're a politician. And when I say we, the NAACP, because I'll call us out as well, too.
Everybody's held accountable.
Everybody's held accountable, man. We have to continuously educate. And as I always say, get people ready, right? Get people ready. And I think a big part of that is that continuous education.
Sure, you get muscle memory.
Exactly.
That's right.
You don't just tell a marathoner, okay, the first Tuesday after the first Monday, you're going to go out and run a marathon in November.
Right.
That's it. You're just going to show up and you're going to lace up your shoes and you're going to go run 26 miles.
Right.
Unfortunately, don't work like that.
They don't do that.
It doesn't.
I don't do that.
No, for sure.
Well, I don't run marathons. But,
Well, we're going to start.
That's right.
We're going to put you on that marathon track.
Me and Cle, we're going to do it.
Cle, yeah.
We're going to make it happen, brother. We're going to make it happen.
You're talking about the local things. When you look at your tax bill, your property tax bill, and this is why I tell people, they're like, well, I only vote in the big elections. I'm like, there's no such thing as a small election.
Right.
There you go.
I mean, that school board is so important too. I mean, if you look at your property tax bill, and even if you're a renter, your landlords in the management company, they're paying property taxes.
Yeah.
If you look at that tax bill, very, very little of it goes to the city, or it's going to Grand Rapids Public Schools. It's going to KISD. It's going to GRCC. It's a huge amount of money going there, and some people have kids in school, some don't, but they understand good schools put up property values and various other things. But know who those school board members and if you've seen what's been happening lately, maybe not so much more here in Grand Rapids, but in the suburbs, there's a battle going on these school boards. I think Forest Hill Schools, which comes into Grand Rapids a little bit, they have 10 people running for 3 spots.
Wow.
GRPS has 11 candidates, I think, for five spots.
Wow.
Byron Center's got 7 for 3. So there's people that are interested in it. It comes out of the masking and now what's in school libraries, what are teaching. I don't want to get into the whole CRT and various other things, but I mean that's the stuff that's going on out there. And you started off talking about 2020.
Yeah.
I just want 2020 to be over.
Yeah.
That was a rough year for you, Joe.
I'm tired. I mean, we've been hearing that from community. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But I'm tired because we've just gotten like 3 or 4 FOIAs in the last few weeks about the 2020 election, and so we're prepared. We've had the 22 months of retaining the 2020 election documentation, all the ballots. We still have all the ballots from November 2020.
Wow.
We have to retain them for 22 months. So when you're talking about election days one day, it's not. It's continuous.
Right.
And so we were about ready to, finally put 2020 to bed at the end of September.
Wow.
And now when a FOIA comes in, and now someone says, I want to review the documents, that throws potentially another 180 days.
You got to keep that on file.
Now to May.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get 2020
Over. Right.
And plus, so election staff, like the city clerks and the county clerks, we're all trying to get ballots out by the 29th. Our military and overseas ones have to be out a week from Saturday. And I'm busy going through things that happened in 2020.
Right.
I know they said hindsight's 2020, but this is
not that kind of 2020.
This is ridiculous, and it's putting a stress. And you're seeing election officials around the country that are saying, "I'm done with this." But what's scary is the people that are going to be taking their places
because they have an agenda.
Yes,
Wow.
and so we used to always talk about how all news is all elections, all news, everything is local.
Right.
But everything is national now. So when something happens in 30 years ago, a George Floyd incident would not have. It would have been. You might have saw a story in the Grand Rapids Press, maybe. But now with social media and various other things, so on election issues, if something happens in Atlanta or Dallas, you're like, oh no, that's what's going to happen in Michigan too.
Yeah.
No, let's because we have this 24-hour news cycle, which is great for getting some things out, but it really confuses people. They're like, why are there like 5-hour lines, at one polling place in Atlanta?
Right. Because
they have same-day registration as countywide.
Right.
If we did that in Michigan, it's different because we're decentralized and I just said a whole lot of stuff. So
I'll let you get
back. I'm getting fired up now.
No, that's
well, I actually have a question too. Yeah. So, being who you are, tell us a little bit about, where you came from and, how you got into the position that you're in right now.
Sure. I'm a lifelong West Michigander. My dad lived just down the street here on Madison, just north of 28th Street.
Okay.
Wow. He went to South High. My grandparents went to South High. He grew up on actually over by Granville. He went to Granville. He went to Cesar Chavez Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he went to Hall School. And then went to South High, and
now y'all know y'all going over our heads.
Our heads a little bit, huh? Right.
We're with South High.
Right. South High is the Gerald Ford Job Corps building.
Job Corps.
Oh,
yep.
gotcha.
And Hall School is Cesar Chavez.
Gotcha.
Elementary.
Okay.
The famous South High.
Yeah. So my grandparents were there with President Ford.
Yeah.
They went to school. They went to school with President.
Yeah,
Ford?
we have the yearbooks.
That's pretty legendary.
Yeah, and then my dad was a 30-year employee with the city of Grand Rapids. So when he came home from Vietnam, he got hired by the city, and he did his 30 years in wastewater and water department.
Yeah.
I worked 4 summers in college for the city, painting fire hydrants, and
Oh, sweet.
so I mean, I've always been interested in politics and government. And,
Yeah.
So before I got the Grand Rapids job, I was the Byron Township clerk for 18 years down at Byron Center.
Got you.
And so, so it was a good opportunity. Darlene O'Neill did it. The
Yep.
former clerk, she did a great job.
Yeah. Shout out to Darlene.
Yeah, we've had a lot. We've had a lot of good
Darlene.
clerks. It was kind of fun the other day. We had a retirement party for our election specialists, and so we had Sandy Wright, who started at the city of Grand Rapids in 1961 and was clerk till about 1993, and then we had Terry Haggerty was there, and Darlene was there, and so we had 60 some years of city government
All in one place.
In the one place.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, I've always had interest in government politics. I went to Michigan State and ran for county commissioner a couple times, didn't make it.
Got you.
And so came back home and got elected in Byron Township. So townships are a little different because they're elected every 4 years on the presidential ballot, whereas City of Grand Rapids clerk is technically in the charter it says elected, but elected by the city commission. So very small voting pool.
So when is your seat then up for?
No, because it's whenever our contracts are.
Okay.
So I'm up at the same time with
the mayor and everybody.
Well, no, with the city manager. So the city manager, the city attorney, the city treasurer, and I are 4 appointed officials.
Gotcha.
And so,
Okay.
so I just got to keep 4 of them happy. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. I want to keep them all. I want to keep all my bosses happy, and I really enjoy it. It is I've really grown as a person in the last almost 4.5 years of being the Grand Rapids City Clerk. Obviously, a lot of different issues and things that are happening in Grand Rapids than what are happening in Byron Township, but it's still a lot of things that are same, development and people who have been there a long time and new people coming in. That's the conversation we have here in Grand Rapids, right?
Right.
Who are all these people coming to my neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
And so doesn't matter suburb or that who's moving where, and we're not immune to that anywhere in West Michigan as more and more people keep coming here, which is great. I think we have a great story to tell here in West Michigan. I mean, not all, the whole story isn't always.
It's not all good.
Roses. It's not all good, but we all
any story.
we understand that,
Right?
And so it's nice that I have history. I can and understand where we've come from,
Exactly.
and don't know exactly where we're going yet.
No, right.
But I think we're all open to that, and we don't know where it is. So yeah, that's a little bit my background. So yeah, so a little different coming from a township that has 8 precincts and like one other employee other than me in the clerk's office to 11 full-time staff and 74 precincts and 200,000 people compared to 25,000.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's definitely a lot.
But it's a scale issue, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity I've had to work with you.
For sure, yeah. We've had great working relationship ever since we met you, Joe.
Yep.
You've been great.
Yeah. So no, it's been great to meet new community partners, and we're going to be doing a dwelling in place event next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we got a table there, and so it's gonna be great to finally get out in community. So that's the other thing about 2020 is we had this conversation. Live stream or
We
whatever,
did.
2 years ago, and it is just not the same. That we can start breaking bread with people. And,
Right. No, this
and
is
meeting
almost
with people
the first year of normalcy. That's what I was saying at the
Almost.
beginning of the
You're
school.
right.
Well-
Knock on wood.
Right.
Yeah, we did an absentee event in 2020 at New Hope Church, and we had DJs out there, and we had radio station out there, and it finally felt like something that was almost like what was supposed to be.
Yeah,
but we were out,
yeah,
we were outside. We had tents out in the parking lot, and it just felt like almost like a carnival feel, which was good, and it felt like a community finally, And then of course 2021 didn't get much better, but
Right.
we're finally, hopefully, turning that corner.
Yeah.
We're stepping into
Seems
this
like it.
midterm, man. We know it's going to be a lot of serious issues on the table. We just had the pleasure of going to Detroit earlier today at the Detroit Auto Show and hearing President Biden speak, talking about some of these key issues that we know will be on the table in November. So this midterm, I think, is going to – well, we know it's going to be fired up. Like President Jackson said, it's going to be critical. So we know that early voting starts pretty soon, right? When is the official date for –
Well, applications are available now. So we've had a lot of people did their dual applications for the August primary and the November. So if you voted absentee, so you don't have to send out an application again, please don't send an application again.
And that's for the absentee.
For the absentee. So
ballot.
So let's make sure we have the right terminology.
Yes, please.
So Michigan doesn't have early voting like other states do. So what we have is early absentee voting, but all voters are welcome to vote absentee. That was part of Proposal 3 of 2018. Changed that because before that there's one of 6 reasons why you could get an absentee ballot.
Right. Had to be health related or work related.
Old or out of town.
Right.
Got you.
That was basically the
snowbirds.
The two, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And so to give you a sense of that, in 2016, City of Grand Rapids had 16,000 absentees.
Okay.
In November 2020, you ready? 59,191 absentee ballots.
So more than triple. But how many of those actually get turned in? I know a lot of people.
That was how many we counted.
Oh, that was for the actual.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how many we
Okay.
tabulated. So voter turnout in 2020 was actually up in Michigan, but it was actually a little bit down. I mean, down from the high of the 2008. 2008 was kind of that outlier. I mean, I think people were excited for Obama.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that brought people out. And
Just in Michigan?
well,
was that or
Michigan had a good turnout. It's just Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids? itself?
We had
Okay.
63% turnout, where I think the high was 66%.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the midterms of 2018, it was about 58%, which is a good turnout. But people were voting for weed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had everybody turning out
Cannabis was on the ballot.
for that one.
Well, because I heard it from my precinct chairs.
Okay.
So I have good anecdotal information of people came in and said, "How do I vote for weed?"
Yeah.
So
right.
and I think the top of the ticket kind of probably helped Governor Whitmer and
For sure.
for the likes, and she ran a good campaign as well.
Yeah.
So now with the 2020 election or 2022 election, see, I can't even get past 2020.
Right. You're gonna be stuck in the 2020
2 more months.
The Twilight Zone.
the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day. I don't like that. So no, 2022 is going to be obviously the governor's is the top of the ticket.
For sure.
And then we have Attorney General and Secretary of State, and then we have all those.
You talking about exactly how it's going to be ordered on the ballot?
Correct. So it goes governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, then U.S. House. So we got a new district that looks a little bit different. It's still the 3rd congressional district, but our current congressman lost in the primary. Peter Meyer lost in the primary.
Exactly right.
And so you have John Gibbs, African American Republican, against Hillary Skolton, who's the Democratic candidate. I think there's a Libertarian candidate as well. But the district looks a little different. It used to be Kent County, and then it went kind of like Ionia, Barry, Montcalm, more rural.
Yeah.
And now it goes west and picks up northern Ottawa County, so it's picking up Grand Valley University.
Okay.
And then goes up into Muskegon
as well.
Heights. Yeah. So that district looks a lot different. And then it looks like Mr. Gibbs stepped out of it doing a debate with Ms. Skolton. So
he didn't agree to participate.
he did, and then he walked out. That was
I didn't see that.
That was an M Live yesterday.
I didn't see
think.
that.
So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was interesting.
And so you have candidates you have candidates that won't debate. Like Attorney General
crazy.
Nessel refuses to debate Mr. DePerno,
That's who's running against her.
her opponent. And so it's
Why do
a
you think
little
that
bit,
is?
Well, when you're winning, you don't have to.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're ahead in the polls,
Nope.
Right.
Yeah.
that happens a lot. If it was if they thought it was closer, then they would do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just campaign tactics or whatever. So then we have county commission. That's the only county race we really have other than judge. We have a bunch of judges on there too. But a lot of the I don't even think there's not very many contested judge races.
They're all running opposed.
Unopposed, most
Gotcha.
of them. I think we just have a Court of Appeals race. We have county commission races. So the state house and the state senate that's also on there. Those districts have changed. City of Grand Rapids used to be all in one state senate district. That Winnie Brinks has been representative,
Right.
and it went from Grand Rapids all the way out east into Ionia County. Now it's the city has been like cut in half right along Fulton, basically, and the north half of the city. So Winnie Brinks is running for that one against Mark Huizinga, who won in a special election. And then on the south side, and it goes up into the townships to the north as well. And then on the
Like
south,
Rockford and stuff like that?
up in there. And then the south side pulls in, south of Grand Rapids pulls in Wyoming and Kentwood, and I believe East Grand Rapids. And that's, actually, no, Winnie Brinks is running for that one against Tommy Brand.
Gotcha.
Rachel Hood's running against.
Okay.
No, sorry. Let me rephrase.
No.
Dave LeGrand. Dave LeGrand
against
Mark Huizinga.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay,
the
against Mark
state
Huizinga.
senate.
Okay.
Should know this. And then City of Grand Rapids used to have two state representatives. That was split. We had like the core city, and then we had the snake that went all the way around the city. And so now there's 5 state house seats.
So this will be the first.
Yeah, so this is the first time after all this redistricting.
This is the first election after the redistricting. So
So that's what. So 2022 came in with a bang because everything was because of the census in 2020 was so late.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
made all the redistricting late, which means we sent out our cards not until. We were at the last minute getting ready to. And then you had all these court cases that were going on.
right.
So once again, when people say they just show up to vote, there's a lot going on.
They don't understand what it's
a lot
all
going
about.
on. See,
Yeah.
now you flip over your ballot, so there's
Right.
a backside after all your judges.
Yeah.
And then you have Grand Rapids Community College, and they have elections, and then you have now you have the city elections. So this is the first time ever that you're going to have the City of Grand Rapids officials on an even year ballot. So the city comptroller, he's unopposed. In all 3 wards, there's 2 candidates running for each in each ward, and Commissioner Lanier can't run again. She's term limited out.
Got you.
So there's gonna be at least one new 3rd ward commissioner.
Yeah.
And then we have some library boards, and then we have 3 proposals. Oh,
Right.
and then we have school board, so Grand Rapids Public Schools are on there. And then we have 3 proposals.
Like you said, the school board seems like it's not as uplifted as some of the other elections, but it seems it's extremely important. It seems like a lot of the elected officials kind of get their start
They have
in politics in that
From the
space,
school.
and it's kind of the runway
That is true.
before you start to.
you see a lot, especially on the Grand Rapids City Commission. John O'Connor,
All
commi-
the-
Yeah.
Nate Moody,
Lanier,
Lanier. They've all
they started on the
That's
school board.
interesting.
Kenny Hoskins,
Oh yeah, Kenny
who's
Hoskins
running.
is running. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
notice
then
that at all.
Tony Baker is running for county commissioner.
Yeah,
Right.
Rob Dean. When
Yeah,
Rob
that's
Dean,
right.
Representative Dean was on there. You know, it's interesting that we have, and I'm glad that we actually have so many people running for school board. Because I tell you, people oftentimes will say to me, "You should run," and I'm like, "Oh hell no." You know, but so I'm glad that there is a focus on the school board, but that's very interesting to me, and I'm sure it's based on a lot of those issues coming off of this horrific pandemic and
Correct.
other things.
Right, and the different people had a completely different completely different people have had completely different views on the
Yeah.
pandemic and the governor's reaction to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And how the school districts had to go through it. And it's not going to get any easier for Grand Rapids Public Schools either.
No.
Dr. Roby and the school board had a listening session yesterday about what they're going to do about school buildings, and I think there's going to be a lot of push on that too.
Because they could potentially close a few schools here.
there's quite a few where they have low attendance or low enrollment in some of these buildings, and where they do, and it's like, not my building, East Leonard for life, or Alger, or Whatever the school buildings are.
Ottawa Indians for life, baby. Not the Bengals.
Yeah, to represent.
Have to represent.
Yeah.
Even though one side of the house, the south, is
Yes.
totally empty of the building.
Yep.
Maybe not totally, but pretty much empty.
I'll throw it out for the South High Trojans for my kid. I'll even throw out the Crescent Polar Bears for Commissioner Lanier. So, she's a proud polar bear.
She is too.
She is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting. I really want to talk about again, because I think there is such a need for education around what to do when you even show up and prior to. Like, that was interesting. I'm glad you clarified early voting absentee.
Oh, that's where we went. We went on a long rabbit trail.
Yeah.
He's reeling it back in now.
Yeah, let's go.
And there may have to be another part too, because I think we're going to really, or at least maybe some community listening sessions or something. Because I think people oftentimes, including myself, at times it can be very intimidating, right?
Yes.
Because even though when you think you know, you're still second guessing, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I'm a pretty educated voter, so I still second guess myself sometimes when I go there.
I don't know.
To the polls.
I don't know. I'm the city clerk, and I've been looking at proof ballots for weeks, and I couldn't come up with the candidates for senator, even though I've been looking at ballots.
See?
So,
Yeah.
So
Right.
I
See
mean,
how that goes.
Again, I'm looking at the whole picture. I don't have to look at one ballot. I'm looking at 74 different ballots.
Right.
But so let me get back to the question was about when does early voting start? So absentee voting is going on now. You can apply for an absentee ballot. If you're a registered voter, it's really easy. You just go to michigan.gov/vote, michigan.gov/vote, and michigan.gov/vote.
Okay.
That is the place to go. So here's your catch line: know before you go.
Know before you go. Yeah.
And so you can apply for an absentee ballot right on there. It's really great for our office because all your information is in there. We can print it in precinct order. It's very easy for the clerk's office. Otherwise, if you're mailing it in, we have to open the mail and we have to receive it in. You do it online, it makes it easier for you, it makes it easier for me.
Okay.
And you can track your absentee ballot. So you can see, yes, we received your application. Don't mail us another one. We got it.
Right.
You can see that we received your application. You'll see when we mail them out. Ballots will be.
Let me go ahead. Just interject because again, this step by step.
Yeah, for sure.
So, if I have completed an absentee ballot in any other election, will I always receive that ballot or absentee
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
application?
No, you always have to fill. You can get on the list to be a permanent absentee applicant. So every year you have to fill out an application.
So every year, even if you're permanent,
It's a permanent application list.
it's a permanent application list.
Yes.
And you have to fill that out in each election.
Yeah, that is
Why
correct.
is that?
Well, a lot of people move, so we have a very transient population. I mean, a lot of people are in their houses forever, but we do have a lot.
Right.
People are going to be moving around, and so we don't want to mail out ballots to a place where no one is.
Yeah.
So if you moved and you're not there anymore, we don't want to send out a ballot in your name.
Yeah.
So that application helps. The application process really helps clean up our lists.
Serves as a verification process
Yeah.
too.
That makes sense. But I would think that, and maybe not again, if people are like thinking that you would think that if someone moves then they would update, but necessarily not all the time. They would update their address.
Right, but they
that
don't.
sort
But
of
you
thing,
can.
but they don't.
But you can do that too. So on that Michigan website, you can update your address. If you're already a registered voter and have a driver's license, you can change your address on there.
Early absentee voting.
Yep.
When did that start, though? When was like the earliest day for this, or like, do you know?
So applications, kind of August 26th was kind of the day when
Okay.
applications, the online application portal opened.
Mm-hmm.
So we began applications. We just went through the proofing of all the ballots, and so the county just sent the ballot. So the county prints the ballots.
Mhm.
And so when you get your ballot, there's a whole process that goes behind producing that ballot. You know, we had to have primary elections. The parties had to have conventions to nominate some. That's a whole nother show about how a candidate gets on the ballot. And so we had to proof all the ballots. So we go line by line with a red pen and just make sure that everything's done.
Right.
And so I think those ballots were sent to the printer, so they got to be printed. And
So nobody has received their absentee ballots yet?
No, so the in state law, the day that we have to have them available is September 29th.
Okay.
So we'll have them available September 29th. So if you go on, some voters already might go to michigan.gov/vote and see, and it says their ballot has been issued, but it says September 29th. Because we're issuing now, because obviously we have to have the envelopes ready.
Right.
So when those ballots arrive, we can start preparing them to get them ready to go out in the mail.
September 29th.
Yeah, so that's for all voters. But then there's a special carve out for move voters, which is military and overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So theirs have to be earlier. So theirs will be Saturday, I think September 25th. We have to have those ready.
Good.
And so we want to make sure that our service people and our voters that are overseas,
For
they
sure.
but they get a little bit special treatment because we can email them their ballots.
And they can can submit it electronically?
No, we can mail them their email. We can email them to them, but they have to return them to us by mail.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so, when stuff's coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq and various other things, it takes a while to stuff back.
Sure.
So that's why we want to get them. That's part of the Help America
Gotcha.
Vote Act. And so there's been legislation out there to allow them to return them electronically, but it hasn't. Other states have it, but Michigan does not. So we'll make sure we get those out to them right away.
I got a quick question. I think it's relevant to the same conversation. Incarcerated individuals. So and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that those who are incarcerated are still eligible to vote if they are not currently sentenced.
That is correct.
So how does that work? They get ballots?
So we have a good relationship.
Well, not currently convicted.
Correct. So they're not.
Right, okay.
So they're
Awaiting sentence.
Awaiting sentencing, awaiting trial. So if they're in Kent County Jail or anyway, it could be. It could be a Grand Rapids voter in Detroit. Or
Right.
wherever they are.
Right.
So there's a group that's been working on that, and I met with them, and the Kent County Sheriff's Department and the Corrections Department and the Kent County Clerk, we've all kind of met together to figure out how we do this. And I know we had absentee ballots that were mailed to the jail.
Okay, so
even in August. Yeah. So we'll get ballots there. The captain in charge over there has been really good about helping folks. So we have a lot of people in Kent County Jail that don't live in Grand Rapids either, so they're not so they can't register there. But if they're a Grand Rapids resident, we'll make sure to get their ballots back and forth. But you can have somebody who did something that lives in Ionia County and is in Kent County Jail. So there's a lot there. But the answer is yes. If you are awaiting trial and not sentenced, you can vote. Okay. And if you're on probation, once you've served your time.
After.
Right. Some states don't allow you to do that, but Michigan does.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to I didn't know if are you all eligible to literally bring the polls in the jails or
No, we don't do that. It's gonna be more of an absentee.
More absentee. Okay, that helps. No, thanks for that.
Yep. So a little bit more on that Michigan.gov /vote site. Because once again, I said you can track your ballot. You can also see a sample ballot. Mm-hmm. So you can know who the candidates are. A lot of them have links to the campaign finance.
So you know who's funding these?
Yes. So you might not know who, what they stand for, because sometimes when you go to their website, it's like, what do they stand? Sometimes that gets a little confusing too.
Yeah.
But you can find out who's the money
find
behind
out where the money comes from. Right.
And so you can go to the state's website to do that, and then the county does the campaign finance for city officials.
Okay.
So so if you want to see, for example, Joe Jones or Lisa Knight, who are running in the 2nd ward, if you want to see who's supporting their campaigns, that's where you can go to the county's website and find their campaign finance.
That's good information. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
That's great. That's on Michigan.
That one's on Kent County's website.
Kent County's website.
So
okay.
if you want to find anything that's county or local,
you
go to the
county.
County if you're looking to see who's supporting governor candidates, state house, state senate, that would be on the state's website.
State's website. Okay.
Yeah, find out who the money behind it.
That's how you.
The website was michigan.gov/vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chase the money trail. That's where you'll find the source of truth.
And this is where I go 1 time, 2 times. I like to say it 3 times. Michigan.gov.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on the screen.
It's like
1 time.
Right here.
the slow roll.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, so that's the absence, and so those ballots will be going out, and we can't start counting them until Election Day.
So where did the ballots go in the intermediary?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I took somebody from Channel 8 like through the whole process. We went from Dropbox, actually from giving someone a ballot through the Dropbox process, the whole thing. So we have secured rooms where we hold returned ballots. So not even cleaning staff have access. So it's only clerk staff that has access. So if I need custodial services, I have to be there for it to be done. Or I'm not afraid to pick up a broom. But,
Right.
but I don't want to take someone's job either. So we have secured spaces.
Okay.
Even in so we have that in one area, and then like in City Hall we have wherever we have ballots, they're secured.
And nobody can get in there but clerk staff.
That's correct.
Mayor, city official,
nobody.
elected official.
Only the clerk staff
Okay.
has, and maybe some key facilities people in case of fire. But
Gotcha.
but it is clerk staff that has pretty much sole.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and we do check the signatures. We check it and verify it. The drop. We've been very fortunate. We've had great success with drop boxes. Someone backed into one the other day, but anyway, but they've been safe. They've been secure. We empty them multiple times a day, and we make sure that they're transported properly.
So for the most part, that process has been smooth.
It's been smooth.
And so I was going to ask you about the drop boxes because I've noticed some of those from across the city. So any voter can feel comfortable to drop that ballot.
They can
into any drop box.
I'd like just Grand Rapids voters just to do it. But
right.
we get some interesting ballots. I think the furthest one I've gotten in one of our drop boxes was from Joliet, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, so I put it in the mail to Joliet, Illinois. I'm like, here's yours. I mean, we had them for the UP. We had a lot of ours find their way in Wyoming. So the clerk network, we got our network.
Right.
Wow.
If you put it in the wrong box, we'll get it. We'll get
It's
to
like
the
a
right
clerk
place.
Zoom call
That's
somewhere
right.
with
That's
all the
right.
clerks.
This is yours.
That's right. The sheriff's department's been really good about getting into the county other areas too, so we can. It's been interesting, but the drop boxes are safe and secure.
Are we increasing the number of drop boxes this election?
No, we kept them the same as we did in 2020. I mean,
But 2020 they did add new boxes in 2020.
In 2020, we had a new box, and we moved one box. We had one box at the corner in a parking lot at the corner of Market and Wealthy. We've moved it to Cesar Chavez in front of the Cook Library Center, just north of Hall.
There's a bunch of construction over there right now, right on Market.
Yeah, but it was just a kind of an obscure kind of place to have it. So I wanted to get one on Cesar Chavez, and I didn't know exactly where because I didn't want to get too close to the school. So I found it worked out really well in August to have it on. It's right by a bus. It's right by a bus stop, which is great. And they all have cameras on them. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so y'all didn't know that.
Yeah, we're watching. We're watching.
Didn't know
I
that.
thought not that I've tried to.
I'll have cameras.
Not that I tried to muddle with the boxes, but I thought it was just a regular box.
I'm glad we had passed that surveillance.
Yes.
Why is that? Why do you have cameras on the boxes?
Well, we want to make sure that no one's messing with them, trying to break into them. We don't want anybody to have any problems. Couple things. We want to make sure that people are safe and secure in dropping their drop boxes. So if they have an issue, if they're intimidated, we have proof that if someone's been intimidating them at a drop box. It may be political. It may be just people. You know how people are.
There were a lot of intimidation tactics.
And our drop boxes are fun.
Yeah.
Because
I noticed that.
We have QR codes, so you can go on there and you can QR code to Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
don't TikTok in the middle of the road, please.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of TikTok.
Darn. No.
This guy's a TikTok legend.
Somebody want to tell President Jackson what TikTok is?
Okay. You have jokes now. I know I'm a elder, a senior statesman.
He said that's what we doing now.
Yeah,
Joe, you got a few TikToks out there?
I don't have any TikToks. I better not have any TikToks
either.
out there.
But I think we need to do a TikTok around the ballot, the drop
No,
box.
for sure. Definitely. We got to tap into those harder to reach demographics, right?
That's what I was gonna ask. Actually, going about like the education space, like how do we educate people? You know what I'm saying about what's going on?
I know the kids. I know the kids these days aren't doing Facebook and Instagram like they have in the past. But
no.
But they know the stuff is there. So I mean, so we are working on a. We'll be having stuff coming out of this fall like we did in 2020, where we did a big ad buy on Facebook and Instagram to spread out our message. It'll be
paid ads.
Paid ads.
Got you.
To spread it out and working with UCC and others to help us spread that out.
Shout out UCC, Becca, Sergio, and the whole team.
Yep. No, they've been doing fantastic. We've been.
They are.
And they'll be produced in English and Spanish.
Gotcha.
And it was really successful. I think we had like 600,000 hits in 2020. So with a population of 200,000 and 600,000 hits,
not bad.
I feel pretty good about where we went with that. And I think the messaging was really good because it talked about when you had to have your ballots. The messaging is going to be when do you have to have your ballots back? When are the polls open? What happens to my ballot? We did like kind of like an anatomy, like we just talked about the absentee ballots.
Right.
It'll talk about what that process is and what happens to your ballot, and then we probably should talk a little bit about election day. Let's get into like election day because it's not gonna be like it was in 2020 where almost everybody voted absentee.
Right.
Actually, in August we had more people vote in the precincts than they voted absentee, which surprised me because
we still go to the polls.
Yeah,
I think us.
I think it's fun.
We just like this.
It is. It's kind of like going to see live music rather than watching it on TV.
But that's changing, Joe. The world has changed.
No, I know.
Now in the metaverse, you can watch a sports game. Did you see that recently?
The metaverse.
The metaverse. You can literally be at a live event right from your home.
I don't know.
You not ready for that, Joe?
I am not.
That's a whole different.
I've been in the metaverse.
Okay. No, it's real.
I know.
It's very interesting.
But when you go to a concert, live music is.
You can't beat it.
Right.
There's a soul, there's a feel. But anyway, that's my little plug for live music.
There we go.
Right. Same for voting. You want that I voted sticker.
That's
right.
Yeah.
We're working on some virtual I voted stickers for the absentee folks.
That'd be
look
cool.
at that. That'd be cool. Yeah.
So going to the precincts, we want to make that safe and secure as well. We prepared for the worst in 2020 because we were told a lot of things that could happen, and knock on wood, none of it did happen.
It got kind of scary a little bit in some places.
We thought we were issued. The city was ready. We had an emergency operations center open, and we were prepared for. We had backup places for polling places if we had trouble.
We saw what happened in Detroit. That was ridiculous. Yeah. People intimidating voters.
So we were getting ready for that too. If that was going to turn, we had everything went really well in our AV counting board in 2020. But to prepare yourself for going to the precinct, once again, it's still know before you go. And the polls are open from 7 a.m. on election day till 8 p.m. at night. And as long as you're still in line, you can still vote. And you can't campaign within 100 feet of the door, which means you can't wear your campaign stickers.
I got a question about that, but keep going.
And it's for candidates that are on the ballot.
Right.
And so it gets a little fun sometimes when it's school issues on the ballot because as long as it doesn't say vote for the kids, you can wear your Union T-shirt or your or your Ottawa Hills T-shirt in the polling place. Just as long as if it says vote for the kids, then you got an issue.
Joe, I voted at the August primaries. I went to my precinct, and I think I had on a Black Voters Matter.
That's fine.
T-shirt or a sign or something. And I went in the polling location, and the guy comes out the building. He says, "You can't do that here. You have to be within so much feet." And I tell him, "I'm not endorsing any candidate. We're just talking about black voters.
Right.
But he said because there are black candidates on the ballot that that could be perceived as, and I knew it wasn't correct, but
so I mean, and we go over that with our chair training and our election worker training. It sometimes gets unclear. Red hats.
Mm-hmm.
So the former president is not on the ballot. So I mean,
so you can wear the "Make America Great Again" hats.
Yeah. Because so I would say that's the same thing as Black Voters Matter, because it's not an issue it's not on the ballot. So he's not on the ballot.
Right. But even Black Voters Matter, that's not
You're
direct.
right.
That's not connected to any candidate.
His argument was that there was black candidates on the ballot, so you couldn't wear it. That would.
But what I think I hear you saying, Joel, too, is if you are the person who's on the ballot, then you cannot wear any of that stuff. But if you're just a voter, of course, you can wear whatever you want to.
Right.
Right.
Well, no,
not whatever you want to.
No, because you can't wear a Gretchen Whitmer T-shirt.
Right. You cannot endorse a candidate at the poll.
Yeah.
As a
citizen, you can't.
As a citizen.
No, you can't walk in. We'll make you take that T-shirt off or cover it up. No buttons, anything like that. So, but if you show up with your vintage Ford Dole shirt, you can wear your vintage.
You can do that.
You can wear
as long as you're not promoting any candidate on the ballot.
So shout out to that guy who told me that. I knew that was wrong. And shout out to Black Voters Matter.
That's right. So the other,
that's right.
So the other thing about the campaigning within 100 feet is also not like soliciting. It's not the church bake sale or the school cookie sale.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's no solicitation or whatever. The only thing that's a little bit different is within 20 feet of the door, if it's an exit pollster, can talk to voters as they leave. And usually we have like 2 precincts where we have it. That's how Fox News and CNN and all of them get those early results.
Yeah.
They're talking to voters as they leave. You don't have to talk to them, but they're allowed. They have to be outside.
Yeah.
The other thing is challengers.
Yeah. Poll watchers, challengers.
So who are the people in our neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the cast of characters at the polling location? So you have your election workers. In law, they're called election inspectors. In Grand Rapids, we call them election workers.
No.
So they're the people that we pay to work and we train, and they work in the polls.
Yeah.
And they'll have a lanyard on that says election worker, or election inspector, or election chair. You'll know that they work for the city.
Yeah.
And they're not volunteer; they are paid. So they are members of large members of my staff for that day.
Yeah.
Usually senior individuals.
Actually, no, that's been changing.
Okay.
We're getting with lots of younger folks, and
I know a lot of people that
working on polls.
Take a day off, $175.
Oh, you get paid too.
You get paid, yeah.
Can't beat that.
Come work.
Right.
So in the event where an election worker provides the wrong information, similar to the experience that I had, is there any consequence or ramifications of that?
It's really hard.
Gotcha.
We just try to make sure that they have the right information.
Okay.
Right.
There'll be challengers at a lot of the precincts, a lot more challengers than there were in August as well. So they will help.
We were all challengers in 2020.
Yep. So they will help correct some of that stuff too. So
we had to correct some. We saw some interesting stuff happening in 2020.
So you'll have ACL. You will have challengers out there. The Michigan Republican Party will have challengers out there. Michigan Democratic Party will have challengers out there. I have a really good relationship with people from both parties, and so we've had conversations. I think you were on that call that we had, Kareem, where we talked. We had Michigan Republicans, Kent County Republicans, Kent County Democrats, Kent County Republicans, or Michigan Democrats, NAACP, UCC, ABC,
right,
XYZ.
All the C's.
we had everybody. Everybody who played. It was nice to have everybody who's in the Grand Rapids sandbox.
Yep.
If we're all going to be building sandcastles, let's not knock over each other's sandcastles.
Exactly.
And so I just want to make sure that we have a great. My job is to make sure that every eligible voter has the ability to register to vote, cast a ballot, and do it in a safe way, and that their ballot is tabulated and secured.
Yeah. Okay. I think you've been doing a great job.
It's a big goal, but my job is to make sure that everybody feels safe and secure in doing that. And I take it very, very seriously. And so that's why I have these conversations. So being that I have that, I know where challenges are going to be from the parties, from you guys, from whatever group is out there. Proactive, Kathy, gotta get a shout.
Shout out to Kathy Harris,
Kathy Harris,
Proactive,
yeah.
A. Philip Randolph Institute.
Yeah, I mean they've been doing fantastic,
For sure.
fantastic work as well. And I'm very thankful that the support that I've been getting from the city. You know, we talk with the city commission.
Yep.
They're very supportive of what we've been doing election wise too.
Yeah.
And so they know the importance of what we're doing.
Quick question. So when you start to divvy up the challengers and identify who goes to what precinct, is there some type of, is it just random, or do they try to say, if we're going to have a Republican challenger, we need to make sure we have a Democrat?
No,
Does it go like that?
No, it's up to them. They are volunteers.
Right.
So I've been told by both parties that they're going to be you can't be a challenger unless you go to one of their trainings.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I've seen what their trainings are, and they're usually pretty good. Now, once again, you could do a training and you think, hey, my challenger's got it, and they don't.
Right.
I mean, there's lots of stuff that goes on, and this is that whole thing we talk about. Like, there's a lot that happens between now and then. We're going to start talking about 2024 before
Right.
you know
So
it.
your job is never done.
No, it's never.
really
It's
not,
great.
uh-huh.
It's great.
I got a question.
Never going out of business.
You're right.
President, did you have something, Pres?
No, I just wanted to say that, this it's really good that, I think, Joel, every opportunity that we presented, or I should say for the most part, you've responded to, you've had an open door, you've asked, answered questions. And, but, I wish all of the other clerks would have that same open door, because
They don't have the 7 bosses I have.
Yeah, but well, clearly, but I think that it is city clerks need to understand that they have to be responsible to community and responsive to community.
Responsive,
and I think you're a great example of that, because it's not about I got you. It shouldn't be about that. It's just about making sure that people have unfettered access to the ballot box, period. And when we have questions, right? So I hope any of the other city clerks who have not had such an open door policy in building and have not been willing to work with groups like Proactive and the NAACP and many, many others, that they watch this. We should send them a copy of this for sure. Tag some folks in this.
Leading by example.
Leading by example. But that's all. That's why I was looking.
I got you.
But I was going to name some names.
I saw where you were going with that.
It's
what they say on Instagram?
The divine power.
Put a mention on it. Is that what they say?
Yeah, right.
The divine
He was gonna add him.
spirit wouldn't allow me.
He was about to add him just now.
So
They know who they are.
It is a little different. So it's based on city charter too. How the clerk becomes a clerk. So for example, the 1,240 townships that are out there, they're all elected partisan in the presidential year.
1,240 townships in Michigan.
Yeah, there's 1,240 townships. Wow. There's a little trivia question for
there we
for
go.
the quiz.
Yeah.
So there's 1,240. So there's 1,240 township clerks out there, and then 500 some city clerks and 83 county clerks. So there's a lot of us that are doing election work. So the city clerks. So the Grand Rapids city clerk is, as I said, elected or appointed by the city commission. The Wyoming city clerk is appointed by their commission. The Kentwood city clerk, he is elected. The Walker city clerk is elected. The East Grand Rapids city clerk is actually appointed by the city manager of East Grand Rapids. So it's based on what the charter is.
Gotcha.
So everything's a little bit different. So like the Lansing city clerk is elected.
Gotcha.
So everything's just a little bit
different. I got a quick question. I was wondering. So we've seen over the recent years, there's been a lot of talk around voter suppression efforts and some areas where you got to travel an hour or so to get your polling sites. I know that's probably more in rural areas, but have we seen a decrease in our polling sites?
So Michigan is, there's so many things that are good about Michigan. One of them is our decentralized elections. So when you talk about that, so let's, when you see stuff coming out of Dallas and Atlanta,
Right.
and that they're run by the counties. And so you're talking large.
So that's not a decentralized.
It's not decentralized. It's a centralized county issue. So Grand Rapids, that's why we have 74 precincts. If I followed the letter of the law of 2,999 voters per precinct, we could be down to 48 precincts.
Say that again, Joe.
Okay. So state law says precincts can't be any bigger than 2,999 active voters. So if you take the 147,000 or so registered voters divided by the 3,000, you get about 4. Did your divine intervention work on that calculator? No. So it's about 40. It's about 48 precincts.
Okay.
We ain't gonna do that.
Right.
So we're at 74 precincts. So we have some small precincts that only have less than 1,000 voters.
Okay.
Right.
And so like the precinct that's around Oakdale Christian Reformed Church. That's a neighborhood precinct.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to because it's walkable. It's got transportation.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do that. So if you look at some of the borders of like some of the upper first ward as you get up towards Walker or up to the second ward, you see like a larger geographical area precincts.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not as dense.
Not as many people out there.
It's not as many people, so we have to spread it out. But they might have like 2,000 or more voters, but they have more access to like private transportation.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep in like this
In the city.
as you get to the city and as you go out, keeping smaller precincts to keep it more of a
Accessible.
a community feel,
Right.
and so it's not overwhelming because I know we've had issues in the past with lines and various other things.
Yeah.
And having the right locations, I think I'm not gonna knock on wood because that makes the cameras or the
the
makes everything
mic.
bad.
Yeah.
But I over the last few elections, even before my time on, I think we've got there. We've had good conversations with the mayor's task force that started after the 2012 elections in 2013 and 2016. We kind of that sandbox talk we kind of brought together. We're not as a formal mayor's task force, but to bring in the same kind of group of people together just to talk every few months or so, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. What they can expect from me,
For sure.
and what they can't expect from me.
Nice.
So
I know we are. I don't know how much time. I know our time is winding down.
Yeah.
I think this is a critical conversation. I want to get more, and we may have to bring you back to talk really about more of the
Step
process,
up to the mic.
more of the process.
Yes.
I want to talk about election day and the count.
Yep.
And how is that? Because in this past election, there was some concern about when the numbers were called for on the state house side with Commissioner Womack and Christian Grant, and the numbers earlier, maybe around midnight or a little after, had him leading according to whomever called it, and then later.
You sound like a former president.
Right.
And then later.
A different president.
A different president.
That's
And
that
then
presidential
later,
talk.
and then later in that evening, the information indicated that Kristen had won in the leader. And was in the lead. So I know when we talked about the counting of the absentee ballots, and those things happen later in the evening.
So we know ages because that's pretty good to know. I mean, tell the birth date,
Right.
But there is. I mean, we can match stuff up against census data for neighborhoods, block and blocks versus the precincts, but it really doesn't tell us. I mean, even if you have if a precinct is, say, or if the block or whatever is 60% African American or whatever, that might not be the voting population because if
Right.
So it's hard to tell.
Right.
There is no racial demographics inside the qualified voter file, which is our voter file, which keeps track of your voting history.
I got one question, and then maybe we'll do one more, and then we can prepare to wrap up. How does it work, Joel, when I've submitted my absentee application, I've received my absentee ballot, I've misplaced it, it got wet? Do I have to still vote absentee, or I can actually still go to the poll?
Yes. So
You can still go to the poll.
you can still go to the poll, but you can also get a replacement.
And how long does that take?
If you come to City Hall, we'll do it.
They'll give it to you on the spot?
Bing, bang, boom. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll take care of you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you spill soup on it, we'll get you a new one.
Right,
Okay,
right.
okay.
So
I think that is some people's concern sometimes
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's what a lot of
and
people
so-
like.
Yeah.
And we also had, I'd say about 90 some voters who knew that they made a mistake in the August primary and came in and got a new ballot.
Gotcha.
In the presidential primary, we had a lot of people spoiling their ballots because as the Democratic candidates fell off,
Right.
they're like,
so
after
they want to change
New
it
Hampshire,
now.
and they're like, okay, so Mayor Pete's done, so now I want to vote for this.
Oh,
And
that's
yeah,
the loophole right there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can't. It's a lot of work, but we'll do it.
Right.
But you got to come in before
Yeah,
8 o'clock.
No. So if you're gonna spoil your ballot and you want a new absentee ballot, for us to do it in the mail, I mean, it says Friday before Friday on 5 before the election. You know you're not gonna get it in the mail.
Right.
You know
Right,
the mail.
right.
You know the mail. We can do a whole thing about the post office too. But anyway, and then so you can do that. But if you misplace it or somehow the mail didn't get it to you, you can go to the polling. You can go to the polling location. We have some people who just surrender their ballot.
Surrender. Explain.
So I have my absentee ballot with me. I don't want to vote absentee. I can go to the precinct. I just say, hey, I don't want to vote this. We'll take it from you. It's not voted, and then we'll give you a ballot.
And then you all do what with? At the precinct.
at
What
the
do they do
precinct.
with those ballots?
It's not voted, so it's just surrendered. It's an unvoted ballot. So we give you a new ballot, and you go vote, and you put it in the tabulator.
Okay.
If you lost it, you don't have it with you, you fill out an affidavit that says I lost or I misplaced my absentee ballot. I want a new one. You sign an affidavit under penalty of perjury. Any affidavit you sign in the precinct is potentially a felony if you are found guilty of like lying on it. And then an election worker is also going to attest to your signature. So we'll do so they'll attest the signature, and then they'll probably call City Hall just to make sure you didn't return it because even though we may not we're gonna have to do a whole session on election day.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So there's a whole,
Really a part two.
which is good. I'm glad we spent a lot of time about AVs today because that's a good thing about this early in the process. But yeah, there's lots of nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
On election day, especially when we talk about e-poll books and what are those people doing with my driver's license when they scan it
Right.
and all. So they're what's up with that?
Yeah.
Let's get it.
I knew I could get it in there somewhere, but so we want to make sure that all that stuff is safe and secure
For sure.
and that kind of lost my train of thought with what's up with that. But
No, you're good. You're good. We were talking about just the timeline on.
yeah. So the absentee ballot. So if you haven't returned it, so in the e-poll book is where we have the voter list, and when we're looking up your name, it'll say that we mailed you an absentee ballot, and it'll also say if we received it.
Okay.
If you've already received one, you're
done.
You're done. But if it says we sent you one, and then you fill out that affidavit, they'll call the clerk's office just to make sure you didn't drop it off in a drop box or something like that. We don't make sure it's secure. And if it does slip through the crack, and you vote twice, it will be found because those voter histories all come up back in the qualified file. They're going to match, and the Secretary of State's office is going to flag all that. And they've prosecuted. We've had some even from the 2020 election. Some of that prosecution is still going on of people that have voted twice. There is possibilities of voting twice, but we will catch it.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Okay.
So I think what we have to do, what we should do, and say from an NAACP perspective, definitely have a community education session.
Yeah.
And really talk, get really take a deep dive into this stuff.
We could
One
do
of the
part
things-
To
two
be honest.
Yeah,
live
we
with an
do-
audience
Okay, we could do
and
that.
allow them to chime in.
I
and
love
question.
that,
That would be
Kareem.
great.
There you go.
Let's
That'll
get
be
it.
great.
Hey.
That'll be
Yeah.
great.
You
honestly.
guys,
Downtown in the clerk's office.
right? Production. Come on, production. Come on.
Whatever.
Yeah.
At
that'll
the
be
Calder.
nice. Right.
Right,
Really,
you know,
right,
right
front and
outside.
center. Yeah.
Right, front and
That'll
center
be cool.
before the snow hit.
Oh, it's
Obviously.
coming. It's coming
And-
for sure.
Well, let's survive art prize first.
Yeah,
Oh,
that,
alright.
yeah. our
Did it just
price
start
should
today?
Tomorrow.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
It is coming
There's
up.
some big statue I've been watching them build on Calder Plaza right now.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
It's
okay.
big. It's big.
I'm excited.
Really? Okay.
And the other thing is, I think, is education on the ballot.
Yeah,
What's
the candidates.
what's on the ballot?
Mhm.
How does it look?
That was my next question,
We didn't,
honestly.
we didn't even
Yeah.
scratch proposals.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really what
That's
I was
important, too.
gonna ask.
Because a lot of people get kind of intimidated when you turn over the ballot.
You don't know what it
Don't know
is.
what to do, and then-
exactly.
Well, that's what we see. We see that stage fright.
Yeah.
And people can just leave that. Some people just leave that blank,
You
right?
can leave it, but you can leave the whole the ballot.
The whole
blank.
ballot blank.
Right.
Just vote on
So
whoever.
we have a lot of people that do that. They want it because that you vote is public. How you vote is private. So let me say it again. That you vote is
Whether
public.
you voted or not.
That's public.
That's probably.
That's
That's how you
vote
get
is
all
private.
that wonderful mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they know you're a voter. So people know that. So pollsters and everybody else and candidates or whatever, they know who the voters are.
Got you.
How you vote is private. That's
Gotcha.
why we tear off that stub. That's why we do everything we can do to keep your vote private.
Gotcha.
We're going to do closing comments. We're going to wrap this up, but part 2 is coming soon for sure. I got one last question, and I don't know the terminology. Correct me, Joel, but how does it work when you have to vote all with one party?
Yeah,
What is that called?
that's called straight party voting.
Okay.
So you have 3 different options. So you can do straight party. So if you vote straight Republican, straight Democratic, straight Libertarian, whatever, that will select all the partisan. They'll take you all the way up to the judges.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay.
Genesis to the judges.
So that's one option.
So that's one option. That's straight party. That takes care of all that. But then you have to make sure you get going with the judges and then flip it over.
Right.
Then you can vote a mixed party. So a mixed party is, let's say I'm going to vote straight Republican, and then I like this one candidate, this one
Right,
Democratic
right.
candidate. I can vote for that one Democratic candidate. That will vote all the Republican candidates and not that then it'll vote Democrat for that one position.
How does it determine which is that determined by the election, or is that up to the individual, or?
Well, that's how we program it.
Okay.
That's a whole nother class.
Okay.
On how we.
I'm serious.
Many
That
classes.
confused me. I did that at the most recent election,
Well,
and I had to
that's-
go
okay,
back and vote again.
Okay, so 'cause that's for that's
primary.
that's for a primary.
Yeah.
So in a general election, it's all now you can vote for whoever you want.
Okay. So you can cross
Yeah,
party.
we saw a lot of that in the absentees of people that were voting one party and then wanted to vote for one person of another party and then came back over. That canceled out their whole ballot.
Wow.
So I think there was like 1,188 ballots that were not cast
because
in
of
the
this very
partisans.
issue. I'm
Well,
glad.
it could be part of that, or they voted a blank ballot.
Okay.
So that's a mixed ballot. So you can vote just individual. You can vote straight party, then a couple individual candidates, and it'll select your partisan the rest of the way through. Or you can vote. Then you can go wild west.
I just like the way that sounds.
and-
I want to vote Wild Wild West.
So then you just go
Right,
candidate.
willy nilly or
Yeah.
Will Smith.
So you go candidate by candidate. So you vote for your
Right.
candidate for governor, your candidate for secretary of state. You just go to all the contests.
Okay.
Wow.
Ooh, this is a lot, Joel, man.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
Well, let's do closing comments, and then we'll prepare to wrap this up.
Sure.
You kick us off.
I kick us off. All right. Yeah. I do want to thank you guys for coming today, talking about these voting issues and honestly education. That's what I was so big on it, like education. What's on the ballot. How do we, especially as young and minority people, know what are we voting for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would like to have more discussion on how we can get the youth out there as well.
Yeah, let's get it.
Because it's I mean, these are the very things that affect our everyday lives, you know?
Right.
And yeah, other than that, you know, yeah, like I said, thank you for coming. Honestly, it's been a great discussion.
Yeah, I'll echo his comments, man. Thank you all for sharing this time with us. Episode 2 is in the books.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want our viewers to stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of efforts. We'll be launching our GOTV campaign pretty soon, partnering with our partners at Black Voters Matter. The Freedom Fund dinner is right around the corner in October. But you'll see us before then. And appreciate Joel, really, for always being, like President Jackson's point, always being responsive. You didn't have to take time out of your evening to come and talk to us. And we'll continue the relationship and make sure that the community has the information that they need to make sure that their voice is heard. We'll close out. President Jackson, any closing comments?
Hey, well, I just want to say this: we're not minorities; we're part of the global majority.
Let's go.
So
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that out there, brothers. But I understand why we say that. I understand why we say that. I want to thank the city clerk for coming in and spending time today to talk about this critically important issue. And we're going to continue this as you know, part 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Right.
And
what is this, Rocky?
we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going.
I'm Apollo Creed.
And, right,
We're doing Rocky. I gotta be Apollo.
We want to increase that turnout.
Yeah.
But really provide that level of education that's necessary. So,
Let's go.
Thank you.
Also, President Jackson, before we let Joel close out, can we present Joel with a few gifts, right? At the Say Something show, we always come bearing gifts with our guests.
We have to.
That's just
tradition.
Natural. Yeah, it is tradition.
All right.
So, Joel, we want to present you with a shirt from our 100th anniversary shirt that was actually designed by this established gentleman here.
Oh, thank you.
So we want to give you one of those, Joel, so you can represent NAACP downtown in the clerk's office.
Right.
This will go good with my Souls to the Polls t-shirt.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hats coming soon. And also we'll present you with NAACP socks. Those are also from our 100th anniversary. Yeah. Shout out to Ineffable, our brother John Hendershot, and a bond over at Ineffable, partner with us on those designs, the design was also created by Onesimus. Shout out to our young brother Sonny Ski as well, who helped with those designs.
I'm gonna have to work on that marathon to get in this shirt though.
Oh, we'll get you. It's fine. That one will fit you just fine, Joe. Yeah. But cool. As we close out, Joe, any closing comments?
Yeah, I love to have this communication because I don't want secrets.
Yeah,
we're my office is transparent. We want to be.
You see, you speak for your office, Joe.
So anyway, I want to make sure that we have this conversation. I want to have the conversation with the community. I like that idea that people can ask questions because, as we go forward, we hear a lot of stuff. Yeah, and not all of it is true.
Nope.
And so if we can cut through that noise, cut through that chatter, and if it's. I mean, I know it's more than one voter, but if one voter can feel more confident in the process, then I've done my job.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Know before you go.
Yeah.
And give us the websites one more time. Yeah. Joe, right here.
Michigan.gov/vote.
And know before you go. And with that said, episode 2 of the Say Something show is a wrap.
Out of here. Yeah. Thank you guys, man. Appreciate you.
All right. See you next time.